Good evening, Missouri Valley. This is Lori White with Missouri Valley Voices, and we have a story today about a murder. Jesse David George, who went missing in 2023. There's a couple of things I want to share with you. This is from the signed affidavit. Jesse George went missing. The last time he was seen was on June 29th, 2023. He was last seen during the morning hours. They were at a camper together located outside of or near North 4th Street in Missouri Valley. So when we moved into town, we moved across the street from this house that Joseph Langford, the accused, lived in. This house was broken into 5 separate apartments. When we moved in, the house was for sale. The gentleman who had owned the house had passed away, and the trust that had inherited the house tore down all the different units and made it back into a primary residence. So somebody had shared with us that a gentleman was murdered at that house. I just took that as town gossip. And it wasn't until this year there was a reward poster that was put up for him, for Jesse, stating that the location, and then I'm looking at Joseph Langford's address, and the address is the house across the street from me where people had told me a man had been murdered there. When I put those two things together, a few weeks back, the cops were here for something unrelated, and I did tell them that story, the allegations that I heard. I had nothing to back it up, no proof or anything like that. However, that house is the house that they're talking about in this affidavit. So outside of that house on 4th Street, there was a camper. And in that camper, Jesse and his friend allegedly got into a fight. So there was a fight between Joseph and Jesse. Joseph, or people call him Jay, is the alleged murderer, and Jesse is the victim. So the affidavit states that at the time they were together in a camper near 4th Street in Missouri Valley. Langford, Jay Langford, later admitted that he and George were in an argument in the camper. At around 4:30 a.m., Langford contacted a friend to assist with moving a car that was parked in front of the camper. So somebody, one of his friends, I don't know if they're from Missouri Valley or if they were close to this house. Upon arrival, the friend noticed that Langford was in possession of a rifle and would not allow anyone inside the camper. Days later, Langford told the same friend that somebody's gone, they're not coming back, and I'm going to prison. At the direction of Langford's sister, the camper was then moved to I-29 northbound Missouri Valley Rest Area. I did go to this rest area today, and I got to see the area that the police excavated. I spoke with a worker. She took me right over there. She told me what happened and that everybody who had been working there is now gone. Everyone who works there now has been there for 6 months or less. And to go on that note, that at the time that the camper was moved to this Missouri Valley Rest Area, both Langford and his sister were employed at the rest area. The camper was then cleaned by both Langford and his sister. So this camp area, or this rest area, Langford and his sister no longer work there. And the employee I spoke to said she'd never heard of them. Keep in mind, this happened in 2023. A report was made to law enforcement about the new location of the camper and the significance to the disappearance of George. Law enforcement responded and noticed that there appeared to be bullet holes coming through the side of the camper. Blood was also observed inside the camper. The camper was processed by law enforcement that had responded. Forensic DNA profiling of the blood found in the camper was later confirmed to be that of George. So, unfortunately, the only dates that are provided in this report are the dates that Jesse went missing, which was June 29th, and then the date that the law enforcement excavated the area, which was April 15th, 2026. In between that time, I don't know which law enforcement agency got called. I don't know if it was Missouri Valley Police Department, if it was Harrison County, but it does say a report was made to local law enforcement about this camper, and they came and they found the camper with bullet holes and blood. So my question is, at that point, what was done? Because the next step in this states, approximately 1 year later, Langford admitted to another friend that he was responsible for the death of George. It was learned that Langford also told another co-worker that he had shot and killed George in the camper. Langford also stated that afterwards, he buried the body of George behind the rest area. So on April 15th, 2026, that's when law enforcement excavated the area behind the rest area and the human remains were located. The remains were later identified to be those of George, and an autopsy was completed showing that George had been shot multiple times. The other thing I want to talk about is the abuse of corpse. That specifically just has to do with disposal, hiding or burying a body with the intent to conceal a crime. So I know there were some questions about what that meant, and people were taken to some really dark places, but it just had to do with hiding or burying a corpse. He did qualify for a public defender based on his financial statement and the fact that this is a criminal case. Everybody deserves to have an attorney. His bond is set at $1 million. And at the time that he was arrested, he was staying at 3155 Joliet Ave. We all know that to be the Happy Days Inn. There's a lot of shady stuff going on over there, so I'm not really surprised to hear he's hanging out over there. With that, I'll roll the audio and I'll continue to follow up on this case and share with the community as new information or developments come about.
You can see they put sticks over it. You see, look, it's a big permit over here.
So did you have to fill it back up with dirt?
No, I didn't.
Did they come back?
It's
And this guy was supposedly his friend.
what is going on? Because there was cops and everything over here. I was like, what's going on? I was like, I feel like since we work here, we should know what's going on. Because like I picked up over here, I picked up gloves, I picked up trash. If it was like an investigation, I feel like they should know.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell us. We just got word from other people.
Do you know the body?
Until yesterday, I read it on the thing, but I didn't read the whole thing. I don't want to know. So you saw the date, you were like, oh my gosh, this was when they were here, and that must have been a body. And this time you have not known?
That's crazy.
But suspicions were, but everybody that works here is like,